Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Stephanie Reads. I know it's been a hot minute since I have regularly uploaded and I am so sorry. We went on vacation last week and there was a ton of stuff that I had to take care of before we left, and every day I had film and edit new videos on my calendar, and every day that had to get pushed back because there was stuff that legitimately had to get done before we left. And so it just never ended up happening. I uploaded a video on Friday that I had pre-filmed and had planned to edit and put up before we left. And again, it didn't happen. So here we are. I'm hoping to be back to regularly scheduled programming. And so thank you for your patience. And now let's get into it. So today I was looking back on my feed of like videos I've put out, and I realized that I have really been lacking lately on actual just legitimate book reviews. I've done a lot of vlogs, I've done a lot of wrap-ups, that sort of thing, but I haven't done a ton of just straight book reviews. So my vlogs I have a couple that I filmed. We filmed a bunch while we were on vacation. And we have one from before we went on vacation as well, but I'm not going to publish those right now. I'm going to really focus on, they're not edited. They're literally just like raw footage on my phone. So I'm going to really focus on, for the next week or two, trying to put out some more book review style videos, and then I'll start mingling those back in. So if the vlog's your favorite, sorry. I just really wanted to focus on books since that's actually the focus of my channel, which it doesn't seem like lately. So anyway, so today I want to talk about The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. And it's a little awkward because I read this book, I got it from the library, and there was a huge wait list on it, and I was unable to film a video before I had to return it to the library. It is a graphic novel, so it would be really, really beneficial to be able to actually like flip through and show you the art style. So I will do my best to try and find some pictures of the inside of the book so I can show that here. Because I know that plays a factor in if it's going to be a book you're interested in reading or not, if you're actually enjoying the artwork style for a graphic novel. So I kind of dropped the ball on that. Sorry. I ended up getting a bunch of stuff from the library all at once, and anyway. I have not read a ton of graphic novels, so I feel a little inexperienced to be making this review because I feel like comparing stuff like pacing and characterization and stuff to against not normal, but you know, your standard print books is not really a fair comparison because there's just not the same amount of space. They're conveying their information in a totally different way. So I just don't have enough experience with graphic novels to be really like, oh, for a graphic novel, because you need that framework, this was fast-paced or slow-paced or whatever. So I'm going to do my best, but I just wanted to give that caveat first in case you're super into graphic novels and you disagree with my breakdown. Please let me know, because I am trying to read more graphic novels, but you know, this is like my third ever. I've read Fake Blood, The Prince and the Dressmaker, and The Paper Girls. So maybe I have only read 3, including The Paper Girls. Okay, yeah, I definitely need to start adding more. Okay, so The Prince and the Dressmaker. This is a story about, and none of this is going to be a spoiler because this is all just in the like blurb about it on Goodreads. But this is set in some imaginary kingdom, and there's a young prince who is being groomed to eventually take over the throne, and so they're trying to marry him off, and his parents are trying to kind of like start preparing him for when he's going to take over and all of this. But he secretly is in love with fashion and dressing up in dresses and going out at night to parties and like showing off his dresses. So he ropes in this woman. He sees this dress that he loves. So he hires the maker of the dress to be his personal dressmaker. And she's the only person that knows his secret. And so she's making him these dresses, and then he's moonlighting on the town as this alter ego. The setup basically is he doesn't feel like his family will understand. He feels like he's letting them down by having this part of himself that he hasn't explained to them. And he's trying to hide it from them. And he's like, I'll never be the king this country needs. But, you know, this is who I really am, that sort of a thing. Things kind of come to a head. And then the book ends with, like, dealing with the fallout of that, basically. And so that's just the super general plot line. The pacing of this is overall pretty quickly revealed. You know where it's going from like page 5. Nothing is a surprise. And I kind of had issues with that personally just because I knew exactly what was going to happen in the entire book from page 5. And I hoped that I would be surprised. I hoped that there would be some complexity thrown in there that I wasn't expecting, or some plot twists that I didn't see coming, but it was very predictable. It was very, you knew, it was just a matter of actually watching it unfold was really all that reading the book got you. So this is a really popular graphic novel, and it was enjoyable, but I personally gave it like a 3 or 4 stars. I can't remember now. I think a 3-star, because I just was like, they could have done so much more with it, and they just didn't. It is pretty dialogue heavy, which I was surprised for, given that it's a graphic novel, but I think that makes sense because the plot of the book is done in 2 ways, is progressed in 2 ways. There's the characters actually speaking, and then there's the pictures. So there doesn't really need to be any world building with a graphic novel, or at least not a lot, because the world building is told through pictures. It doesn't have to be done in the actual speech and words of the book. So what story you do get is almost exclusively dialogue, which again, I think is mostly just a standard for graphic novels. Just guessing off of what would make sense, not because I've actually read a bunch of graphic novels as we've established, but it's not densely written. I also have to say this is aimed at tweens. So it's not also, there's not going to be a ton of complexity in it. One, because it's a graphic novel and there's just not time for a super intense twisty story when you've got, 100 words on a page and there's only like 200 pages. But also it's not written for an age that would be appropriate for. That was a really terrible sentence, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, it would not be age appropriate for the age bracket that this is aimed at to be super intense. So I guess I should not have been super disappointed in this book. And I guess disappointed is maybe not the right word. It felt like it fell flat. And that may be just a side effect of it being a graphic novel aimed at 11 or 12-year-olds, So as a 35-year-old, I can't really be like, I read this book for 11-year-olds and it wasn't as complex as I liked it, and be like shocked. Because, yeah, of course. I'm sure if I went back and read the first Harry Potter book, I'd be like, oh wow, it's way more simplistic than I remember. But anyway, so the plotline is very straightforward. Like I said, there were exactly 0 twists in it. And the characters are purely reactionary. There is no planning of their own. They are just, everything that happens, they are just reacting to. They are subject to their circumstances, basically. Which, again, I was kind of hoping that the Prince character would kind of take a grasp of his own future, basically, but everything just happens and it just works out, and it was not any of it was his doing. It was just happened. And for a book that's supposed to be like a coming of age, I felt like that was kind of not great, because in real life coming of age, you have to work for stuff, and it's not just like, oh, hey, I got, like these things happened to me and it just worked out and my life works and I didn't have to take any part in actually making sure that happened. And the story is just teaching you if you are yourself, things will work out, which doesn't always happen. And I don't know. I still feel like it's a worthwhile read if you're interested in the story. But if you're like, hey, I have a kid who's really struggling with being accepted because there's these things about him that aren't the accepted social norm or whatever, I don't know that this would be the book to give them, because it gives a false sense of just everything will just work out. You don't have to worry about it. And unfortunately, that's not reality. I wish it was. That would be amazing, but it just isn't. And so... Yeah. The characterization is not great in this book. There's like no character development. You've got character tropes for literally every character, and they don't surprise you. They don't break from those. The character tropes aren't just like a jumping off point for their characters. It's just who their characters are. So, and again, this may be typical of graphic novels just because that's not where the focus is. I don't know. So if you are looking at graphic novels and you're like, yeah, of course, when I'm saying this, let me know, because I just don't have the wide reading experience of graphic novels to know how that normally goes. So the characters are very quirky, and I really enjoyed watching their interactions because those were fun for me, but again, no surprises. So it's just, you have to think about, like, if you just want a really predictable but fun and beautifully illustrated story, great. If you want something that's actually going to have like depth of character and a legitimate, genuine struggle for like this coming of age, accepting yourself as you are sort of a thing, this is not the book for you. So what are you hoping for? I don't know. And the one thing I will say about this is it took me like an hour to read. So even if you're like, I don't know if I'll like it or not, but you're interested, I wouldn't suggest you buy it, but I would say go get it from the library, check it out. Even if you end up hating it, it's an hour of your life that's gone. It's not a huge commitment to try and read through this. It's not a slog in any way. And it is like a genuinely just light, fun read. So for the storyline, I wrote that it's sort of inspirational because the main character does learn to accept himself for who he is, because for most of the book, he's just hating himself because he feels like who he is letting his kingdom down and letting his parents down and everything. But he does learn to accept it. However, everyone else also just accepts it with there's no friction there. And I keep harping on this, that's so unrealistic. I just don't, it's inspirational and like, yes, learn to accept the weirdness about your own self. I say weirdness in a positive way. Like I definitely have weirdness about me. Like I do a booktube channel. This is definitely, that's not a normal thing, guys. To be so into books that you're like, hey guys, let me sit in a room by myself or with my husband and not talk to him, but talk to this camera and tell you about some books. Like, that's not a normal thing. And so I definitely agree that we need to like learn to accept the weirdness about ourselves. But if you think that just because you've accepted it, everyone else automatically will and things will just work out, that is like, life is going to be rough for you. I will say that this book is thought-provoking, and maybe not in the way that the author meant, because I was thinking about how would this have actually gone if this was reality? And so I don't know that the author actually meant it to be thought-provoking in that way, but I found myself thinking about that long after I was done reading the book. I was like, how would this actually have played out if this was a real life scenario?
Spoiler alert, not well.
He doesn't even know what book we're talking about.
No idea what you're talking about.
He just walked in. Now, the setting of this book is truly beautiful. The artwork, I really enjoy the artwork. It gives it this really lush historical setting filled with beautiful details. And you really, even though we have no idea what country this is supposed to be, because it's obviously just this imaginary country, you still get this picture in your mind, literally and figuratively, because you have an actual picture, and then you can from there extrapolate all these other things. So I really did love that part of the book, and I did enjoy this read. I don't want to make it sound like I've been very negative in this review, but it was still a really fun read. I just expected something very different than what I got. And so that's why I wanted to warn everyone, because it is touted as this amazing book on all of these things, and I feel like it just didn't quite hit the mark there. So let me know if you've read this book, how you feel about it, because I definitely know that my opinion is kind of maybe not the normal opinion. And put it in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And until next time, happy reading. By, I don't have it written down here. I want to say Jen Wang or something like that. Hold on. One moment, please. Jen Wang. I was close. Iced tea. I love it. I get this Twinings cold brew, and it's like berry flavored iced tea. You just have to let it steep in cold water for 3 to 5 minutes. This is my summertime jam, you guys. My husband just popped out. Oh, hey. He just woke up from a nap.